Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayo Mudirayet Nashtaprayesva Vadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavat Yuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Om Agyanti Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Panghum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Bande Sri Gurun Dinatarinam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 24, which is entitled The Renunciation of Kardama Muni. And today's verse is verse number 3. Drita vratasi badram te Damena niyamena cha Tapodravina danaischa Shradhaya cheshvaram bhaja Drita vratasi badram te Damena niyamena cha Tapodravina danaischa Shradhaya cheshvaram bhaja Drita vratasi badram te Damena niyamena cha Tapodravina danaischa Shradhaya cheshvaram bhaja. Dhitavrata Asi. You have undertaken sacred vows. Badram Te. May God bless you. Damena. By control of the senses. Niyamena. By religious observances. Cha. And. Tapa. Austerities. Dravina. Of money. Dhanai. By giving in charity. Cha. And. Shraddhaya. With great faith. Cha. And. Ishvaram. The Supreme Lord. Bhaja. Worship. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. You have undertaken sacred vows. God will bless you. Hence, you should worship the Lord with great faith through sensory control, religious observances, austerities, and gifts of your money in charity. Srila Prabhupada's purport. In order to spiritually advance or to achieve the mercy of the Lord, one must be self-controlled in the following manner. He must be restrained in sense gratification and must follow the rules and regulations of religious principles. Without austerity and penance, and without sacrificing one's riches, one cannot achieve the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Kardama Muni advised his wife, you have to factually engage in devotional service with austerity and penance, following the religious principles and giving charity. Then the Supreme Lord will be pleased with you, and he will come as your son. So Kardama Muni is speaking to his wife, Devahuti, and he's expressing that simply association in order to increase one's sense gratification is certainly the path of bondage. Bondage means repeated birth and death, that I will be completely under the clutches of the material energy. But the same type of association performed with a saintly person leads to the path of liberation, even if performed without knowledge, which means that by our association, even though we may be having some sense gratification, that leads to the path of liberation because we're associating with saintly persons. And by associating with saintly persons, we become inspired to take up the path of Krishna consciousness. Even if there's no knowledge, even if we're in ignorance, even if we don't have such a desire, just the actual fact that we're serving a saintly person brings the mercy of Krishna. So anyone whose work is not meant to elevate him to spiritual understanding, anyone whose ritualistic performances for Dharma does not raise him to come to the understanding of renunciation, and anyone who is situated in renunciation, but this which does not lead him to devotional service to the Supreme Lord, then such a person is considered not to be living, but simply to be breathing, but not really living. So Devahuti, she's saying that surely she's been cheated by the insurmountable illusory energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Because in spite of achieving the association of Kardama Muni, which gives liberation, because he's a great saintly person, liberation from material bondage, I did not seek such liberation. You know, I wasn't after liberation. Somehow or other, I came into your association and married you, and you're a wonderful person, but I never really wanted this. So Kardama Muni said to her, well, don't be disappointed with yourself. In other words, don't take a negative view. Always try to see things in a positive way. You are actually praiseworthy because you have come to associate with those who are on the path of spiritual enlightenment. So you will be blessed by the Lord. And because Devahuti decided to take strict vows to follow her husband out of love for him, not out of love for Krishna, but out of love for him, she will be blessed. So Kardama Muni says, you have undertaken sacred vows and God will bless you. Drita vratasi badramte. Krishna talks about Drita vrata in the Bhagavad Gita, that we should take a fixed determination to chant the holy names of the Lord. So she has taken a fixed determination to serve her husband, who is a pure devotee of the Lord. Dhamena. Dhamena means, so ena means with in Sanskrit. So dhamma ena, with control of the senses. Niyamena. Ena means with following regulations and rules. There's rules and there's regulations. The rules are what we do. The regulations are what we don't do. So control your senses, dhamena, niyamena, and follow the rules, what we're supposed to do. Tapo dravina danaischa. Perform a little bit of austerity and give in charity to those who are worthy of receiving that charity. Shraddhaya, and with great faith, Ishvaram Bhaja, worship the Supreme Lord. So, Prabhupada explains in the purport that in order to spiritually advance, in order to achieve the mercy of the Lord, one must be self-controlled. And here are the different principles of self-control. Number one, Dritavrata, you have to undertake a sacred vow, some sort of commitment to be dedicated to the path of enlightenment. Dhamena, with controlling of the senses. There's only two possibilities. Either you control the senses or they control you. Take your choice. Niyamena, and to follow the rules and regulations of spiritual enlightenment. In other words, you have to behave in a saintly way. There's rules to follow. Not that we just allow our senses to drag us here and there with no rules, no regulations. Then, tapa, there should be some austerity. And dravina danaischa, and you should give in charity whatever funds you have. Then, shraddhaya cheshvaram bhaja, then worship the Lord with great faith. So these 6 principles will bring about the mercy of the Lord. So you undertake sacred vows, you worship the Lord with great faith, you control the senses, you follow the rules and regulations, the observances of spiritual life, you have to perform some austerity, and you give gifts in charity. These 6 things bring about the mercy of the Lord. If you don't do these 6 things, you may not get the mercy of the Lord. So in other words, what we're being taught here is that if we do our part, Krishna will do his part. What happens if we don't do our part? Krishna doesn't have to do his part, obviously. We can't have a cheating mentality that I won't do my part and I want to get the Lord's mercy also. So someone may be doing their part very sincerely and getting the mercy of the Lord. I want that same mercy without doing my part. It means I have a cheating mentality. I want what someone else is getting, but without doing what's necessary to be done. So Kardama Muni advised his wife, Devahuti, don't think in a negative way. Don't be disappointed with your situation. Make the best of your situation. So Prabhupada used to tell us that taking birth in the material world is a bad bargain. So we make the best of a bad bargain. In other words, whatever we did in our previous life, we didn't get a really good, auspicious result in this life because we took birth again. But now make the best of this situation and solve the whole problem, and in this life go back home, back to Godhead. And when the Lord sees that we're sincerely on the path, following the instructions given by the acharyas, given by the spiritual master, then the Lord will be pleased with you. And he will bless you. Everybody wants the blessings of the Lord, right? The only way to get the blessings of the Lord is if he's pleased with you, right? If he's not pleased with you, there's no reason for him to give you blessings. So our duty is to behave in such a way that we please the Lord. So we please the Lord by devotional service. Devotional service to the Lord, to the Vaishnavas, to the people in general. We serve everyone. And this service mood pleases the Lord because this service mood is the mood that exists in the spiritual world. So if we want to go back to the spiritual realm, we're going to have to fit in. And in order to fit in, we have to develop the mentality of devotional service. Not just service as a duty, but service with devotion. That I enjoy this service. I love doing this service. I have such a taste for this service that I can't give it up. I would rather die than stop doing this service. Because I'm receiving so much bliss and ecstasy from this service. And so it is the gradual path of purification. And the fundamental foundation of everything is the chanting of the Maha Mantra, the great chant for deliverance. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And this is something that I experienced myself personally. Because when I met the devotees, I was already on the spiritual path. I was already vegetarian. I had already read different scriptures. I was already doing austerities and tapasya. I was already trying to control my senses. I was doing everything except chanting the Maha Mantra and doing devotional service. And so I couldn't understand Krishna. But by association of the devotees and hearing the Maha Mantra, one day, I remember it very clearly. It was an afternoon. I was at a devotee's home. And then all of a sudden, I just understood. Just the light came. And I realized now that I was gradually getting closer and closer to pleasing the Lord. And after, so many attempts at serving the devotees, associating with the devotees, the Lord became pleased with me, and then he gave me the understanding by which I could come to him. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter, 15th shloka, Sarvasya chaham hridi sanivishta, matasmitir jnanam apohanam cha, that he's seated in everyone's heart, and from him comes knowledge. From him, within the heart, comes remembrance. Remembrance that we're das, 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 anudas, the servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord. Knowledge that I'm spirit soul. Knowledge that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. It comes from him. When he is pleased with us, then he blesses us. As it says here, Bhadram te, he will bless you. So we should carry on our worship of the Lord, which is our faithful following of the instructions given by Srila Prabhupada, with great faith. And we should try to control the senses, follow the principles, give gifts of charity, perform a little tapasya, and the Lord will be pleased, and from within your heart, he'll give you everything you need to come to him. Because he says in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 10th verse, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam. Those persons who are always engaged in worshiping me with love. So always engaged, satatam yuktanam, always engaged means every day. If you're engaged every day in service to Krishna, that means always, every single day. It doesn't have to be every single breath. We're not at that level yet. So Krishna, he's very sweet and affectionate, so he's going to say, okay, for you always means just every single day. So this is called causeless mercy. We get that causeless mercy. What is that causeless mercy? Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam. I will give you that pure intelligence of bhakti yoga. Dadami, I give. He will give it from within the heart. Again, it comes from Krishna when he's pleased with us. He'll give us that intelligence, that enlightenment will come. Why? Yena mam upayanti te, so that you can come to me. He wants us to come home. In other words, he's feeling separation from us, which we think, how is that possible? Who am I? Why he's feeling separation from me? Such a fallen, conditioned soul, who's never done anything. Because he has so much love. So he only sees the good things. Just like my god sister, Mula Prakriti, she told Pastime once, she's a very well-known book distributor. She's always going out and distributing books and talking to people. She's a very outgoing person. But she had a fault, was that when people would start to say something, she would know what they're going to say, and she'd interrupt them and say, but this, or like that. So she had a darshan with Srila Prabhupada with many devotees, and Prabhupada was speaking, and then at one point he said something, and she thought he was going to complete the sentence in a certain way, so she spoke up and interrupted him. So one sannyasi was there, and he went, oh God. And then she felt really bad, And Prabhupada just kind of leaned back and didn't say anything. And then he spoke again, beginning that sentence, and of course he said something different than what she thought he was going to say. So she was really embarrassed. But anyway, she swallowed her pride, and Prabhupada was speaking, and she was in ecstasy just being there. So Prabhupada was speaking more and more. And then about 7 or 8 minutes later, another sentence Prabhupada began. And she thought, he's going to say such and such. So again, she interrupted to voice her feeling. And that sannyasi went. And then she realized, oh my God, and she felt so bad. And she just thought, I just want to leave this room. I'll just offer my obeisances and I'll just walk out of this room. Anyway, so she was down offering her obeisances, and then she felt a hand on her head. She looked up, and Prabhupada was smiling. And then Prabhupada said to the sannyasi, she's very enthusiastic, isn't she? So Prabhupada only saw the good. He saw that, oh, she's very enthusiastic. So Krishna is like this. He only sees the good. For example, we have Putana. She came to kill Krishna. But Krishna saw, oh, she's approaching me like a mother. Actually, she was approaching him in a horrible way. There was nothing good there at all. But Prabhupada explained when he gave that class, he said, Krishna always takes the bright side. He always sees the bright side. Oh, she's approaching me like mother. So he sucked out all her demoniac tendencies, and then she became purified and went back to Vaikuntha, back to Godhead. So our position is better than Putana's, right? You all agree? You have to be a little positive. Well, here you are, dressed like a Vaishnavi, singing the glories of Prabhupada and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. So don't disqualify yourself. So just like Devahuti was thinking the same thing. And Kardama Muni said to her, my dear, sweet lady, do not be disappointed with yourself. And he said, oh princess, you're a princess. Don't be disappointed with yourself. You're actually praiseworthy. I mean, I don't know who you're comparing yourself with. If you compare yourself to Prabhupada, then you may have a negative thing. But you can, compare yourself to, someone else who's like, some person who's in jail for murdering children or something. Then you're very praiseworthy. So, because you're not murdering children, as far as I know. So, in other words, why don't we also take the bright side? Krishna always takes the bright side, Prabhupada told us. I heard him say it. So, if we want to enter into his realm, we should also take the bright side and see things positively, which is what Lord Chaitanya teaches his followers, and which Rupa Goswami is teaching us also. And that is this. Number 1 rule, always remember Krishna. Number 2 rule, never forget Krishna. Number 3 rule, always be confident that Krishna's mercy will be there for you. So I was thinking, always be confident that Krishna's mercy will be there for me? I was thinking, oh, Rupa Goswami, it's easy for you to say. But what about me? I know what's going on inside, I know how lazy I am and how crazy I can be sometimes. So I was thinking, why is he saying like that? I mean, he may think that for himself, but why is he preaching it for others? That we should always be confident that the mercy of the Lord will be for us. We'll get his mercy. Why be confident? So I was thinking, because we're not worthy. We don't have the qualification to feel that way. So I wanted to know why we're being taught like that from the great acharyas. And my experience has been that when you want to know something and you meditate upon it, then Krishna, from within our hearts, Sarvasyatyaham Hridi Sanivishto Mata Smritirgyanam, he gives us a knowledge from within the heart. So he gave me the hint, why don't you look in the Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, verse 66, which says, Sarvadharman parityaja mamekang sharanam vaja ahang tvang sarva papebhyo mokshayishami ma suchaha. He says, forget all the other dharmas. There's so many dharmas, so many rules and regulations, everything that you have to do. Forget about them. Put them on the back burner. Just make me number one in your life. Just bring me right to the front. Number one in my life, in your life. Mam mi ekang, number one. Sharanam, surrender to it. Vraja, wherever you go. Or, as the residents of Vrindavan Dham are making me number one. And then, ahang tvang sarva papebhyo, I'll take away all your sinful reactions from the past, present, and the future. Mokshayishyami, I will liberate you and bring you back home, back to Godhead. So that Krishna is saying, just make him number one in your life, and he'll take care of everything. Then he says, Ma suchaha, don't worry. Don't be in anxiety. Don't be in stress. Don't have any doubts. In other words, Krishna is saying, trust me. And then I realized why Rupa Goswami said like that. We should always feel the mercy of the Lord. We just have to trust the Lord. Give up our doubts. Okay, Krishna says, trust me. So I'll just trust him. And because if I don't trust him, he's saying, don't worry, don't be in stress, don't have any doubts. And if I do have doubts, I am concerned that I'm not doing the right thing, then I'm not having faith in Krishna, that I'm not accepting what he's saying. It's a very negative conception. So all I have to do is, okay, I trust you, Krishna. It's all you have to do. And he says he'll take care of everything. Okay, so that's what Rupa Goswami means. Be confident that the mercy of the Lord will always be there for you because you trust what he says. You don't have doubts. You have faith. You believe in it. That's it. It's so simple. And you carry on your devotional service with that faith. So this is what it's saying here. Dhrida vrata. You take a fixed determination, shraddhaya, with great faith. Shraddhaya, faith, fixed determination to get the Lord's mercy, okay? Trita vratasi badram te. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to undertake a brata, a promise. If you don't like the word vow, it's too heavy, it scares you. Just make a promise. It's not so heavy. Okay, I promise. I will, shraddhaya, I will have faith. Ishvaram bhaja, in my worshiping the Lord, I will have faith. Dhamena, I will learn to control my senses. I can increase. Not totally, not all at one day, but a little bit and a little bit more, and every day, tiny bit more. So just so that we're increasing. Niyamena, and following the rules and regulations. They're not so difficult. Tapo, a little austerity has to be there. So just following the rules and regulations is austerity. You don't have to do anything else beyond that. Just chanting 16 rounds in the beginning is an austerity until you get to the position where it's ecstasy. Krishna says in the beginning, the spiritual path may seem like poison, but in the end it's pure nectar. Danaischa, and give in charity. So giving in charity means distributing the knowledge, giving them a book, and engaging them in devotional service by accepting a donation from them. And that donation you receive from them, you bring back and give it to Krishna. So it's really easy. I can give money regularly to Krishna. I just go out, distribute a book, get all that money from other people, come here and give it to Krishna. Now I've followed this. Don't even have to give my own money if you're attached to it, you know. Or you can throw in, you know, a few lei of your own, add it to the total, so you've given yourself your own also. In other words, we just have to come up with a little strategy how to serve the Lord in a nice way to please Him. Every mother knows how to please her child. Every parent knows that. Every wife knows how to please her husband. So we know how to please people. Every husband knows how to please the wife. Everybody knows how to please somebody else, even a stranger. You just speak sweet words to him, you know, and they're happy. So we know how to do this thing. So why not just do it for Krishna? To please him. He'll be pleased, and then he gives his mercy. And he's easily pleased. If he can be pleased by Putana. Oh, she's approaching me like a mother. How sweet. So like this. So basically that's the sum and substance of this verse. So although Prabhupada translates Drida Vratas E, you have undertaken sacred vows. You know, if we just make a little promise to Krishna, he will accept it. Wow, you've taken a sacred vow on my behalf. He always sees the bright side. So he will bless you. Now you are blessed. And now that you're blessed, just worship the Lord with great faith. Even if it's little faith, Krishna will see it as great faith. That's just the way he is. He explains in Shastra, if you take one step towards me, I take 100 towards you. Yayatamam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham. As you approach me, I reciprocate accordingly. So for us, accordingly means 1 to 1. To Krishna, it means 100 to 1. Or maybe 1,000 to 1. Who knows how he calculates in different situations. So we just have to do our little part, and he just showers us with mercy. And that is the process of Bhakti Yoga. Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Yes.
May I please ask, so in one point of your very nice presentation, you said something about service with devotion instead of just service out of a dry duty. And what if somebody doesn't have that devotion? How can he actually, I don't know, imitate or perform a service with devotion? Because the heart is lacking actual devotion.
Well, the fact that you're doing it just as a duty shows a little bit of devotion. Because maybe you're doing it, you don't want to do it. I'd rather not be here. I'd rather go see the latest Star Wars movie, whatever. But it's my duty, and so I'll do it. Even though I'd rather do something else. That's still a step, the first step in devotional. It's not the highest, but it's a step in the right direction. So if you keep on doing that, then Krishna starts blessing you more and more, and you start developing a taste. So no one starts off, from 0 to pure devotee the next day. So it's a gradual process. one step at a time. Then you get up to the first floor, then the second floor, the third floor, the fourth floor. So we have to go step by step. But what happens is that as we continue in our duty, it becomes more and more blissful for us. Then Krishna takes us up, away from the stairs and puts us in the lift, and you just go zoom. Or they have in the malls, they have the escalators. You get on the stairs, you don't even have to take the next step, you just stand there and they take you up. So Krishna can also do that. So just have confidence. Shraddhaya means faith, but faith means confidence. So I have confidence that if I follow this, I'll have the result. Why? Because I've seen that it happened to other people. They did it. They got the result. So it works. If it works for them, it works for me also. So just by seeing other people benefiting, then the Shraddha increases, the confidence increases, the dedication increases. That's the process. Therefore, association is very important. We get inspired by seeing others who are getting some bliss and some measure of success. Okay, you're next.
What is the difference between a service done out of duty and a service done because you enjoy it, like from material platform, not exactly spiritual?
Well, even if you enjoy it from the material platform, you're enjoying it. That's the point. We're making the distinction, material or spiritual, but Krishna doesn't see it like that, because the material energy is also his energy. So you're enjoying his inferior energy. Just like, for example, an infant, you give him a little toy, you shake it, it makes a sound. He likes it. You try to take it away, he cries. He's attached to that. But when he's 20 years old, he's no longer attached to that toy. It's a toy that you're only attached to when you're an infant. No one will cry when you take away a toy when you're 20 years old. So, there are different stages and different levels. So in the beginning, you may be enjoying it, and it may be some material thing, conception that you have, but it doesn't matter because we're in the beginning stages. Gradually, that material enjoyment will be transformed into a spiritual enjoyment because you're doing it for Krishna. That's what spiritualizes it. You're doing it for the spiritual master. You're doing it for the service of the conditioned souls. You're doing it because you're part of Lord Chaitanya's movement. So you may be thinking I just have a material conception here, but you become purified by the fact that you're connected to the spiritual. So it becomes purified.
Should you strive to do a service that you don't really enjoy and do it out of duty?
Well, in the beginning, it's recommended you do something according to your propensity, something that you're attracted to, something that you like, which means you take the path of least resistance. Something you don't like, you really don't like, there's a resistance there, so we shouldn't push people to do things they don't like. That wouldn't be intelligence. So we engage people according to what they like. And that's okay. That's normal. I mean, for example, Arjuna, what was his service in Kurukshetra? It was to kill people. Now, I wouldn't like to do that service. And he didn't want to do it either in the beginning. Right? And Krishna had to convince him, but I need this done. You're qualified to do this killing, You're expert with the bows and the arrows, with the mantras, with the astras. You should do this. Okay. So he had to convince him, but at the end he was convinced and he happily did it. So that's like us. In the beginning, we don't want to do it, but we become convinced by reading Bhagavad Gita, studying the books that Prabhupada's given us, by associating with the other devotees, and then we begin to understand and make spiritual advancement. So it's not so materialistic. Starts off one way but ends up another way. That's called purification. Yes?
I want to ask you about charity. The text mentions something, and what does it mean? Especially here in Romania, people are begging.
Okay, charity. Charity means, is that what the question is? What does it mean? It means you do something for the benefit of someone else instead of doing it for your own benefit. Everything I do is for my benefit. Now I'm going to do something for someone else's benefit for the first time in my life. So, that's what it's talking about. Lord Chaitanya said, Janma sarta karikara para upakar, that if you want to if you want to perfect your life, you have to work for the benefit of others. Para upakar. Upakar means the benefit, and para means for somebody else. So that's what we do. The whole mission of Lord Chaitanya is to work for the benefit of the conditioned souls. Someone will say, well, what's in it for me? Why should I do something for everybody else? I'm just worried about me, my own situation. But what they don't understand is that when you take up this service, when Krishna says, Sarvadharma Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja, then he'll take care of you. He'll take away all your sinful reactions, purify you, take you back home, back to Godhead. So then I came to an I guess it was a crossroads, a fork in the road, and I realized, well, there's two possible options. Either I can make all arrangements for my own benefit, or I can let Krishna make all arrangements for my benefit. So I was thinking, who can do a better job, me or Krishna? So I came to the conclusion that Krishna can do a better job. So I put it to the test. And I had a private talk with Krishna, and I quoted a verse, Ananyas chintayantu mam ye jana paripasate, tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogikshemam bahamyaham, where Krishna says that anyone who has no other thought except for worshipping me, in other words, make me number one, same idea as the other sloka, then what happens? If I have that mentality, tesham nityabhiyuktanam, tesham, to such persons who make me number one, nitya, I am always abhiyuktanam, always connected to them. From Krishna's perspective, he's thinking, I'm always connected with this person because this person's making me number one. And so what does Krishna do when we're always connected to him? By his vision, not even by my vision. I may think I'm not connected, but he's thinking that we are. And that's more important, what he thinks. Then he says, Yogakshemam Vahamyaham. I will preserve whatever you have and protect what you have and guarantee you won't lose anything. There'll be no lack. So I put it to the test. I said, okay, Krishna, this is what you say. I'm going to take my level of surrender to the next level. And I was amazed. Krishna made unbelievable arrangements for me that I could never, ever have even imagined what to speak of to do for myself. So I'm sharing with you my realization, not what I read in the book and not what someone told me, but I put it to the test and I found out. So we have to do that. We have to make a test and see how Krishna deals with us. Because if we don't see Krishna's hand in our life, then we just have blind faith. Shraddha is not blind faith. It's faith with confidence and understanding and knowledge Blind faith is called andavishwas. Anda means blind. I have no knowledge, no understanding. I'm just blindly accepting this. But when you experience, when you get some experience and some understanding, then that blind faith becomes Shraddha. And based on that Shraddha, Ishvaram Bhaja, then I worship the Supreme Lord with devotion. Because wow, now this is real, this is the real thing. This isn't just some blind faith, that I read in a book, but this is the real deal. So we have to take that step, what Immanuel Kant, the German philosopher, what he called the leap of faith. He gave the example, you're walking in the mountains along a path, and then all of a sudden there's a huge gap. And the only way to get across is to leap over to the other side. But if you miss, you fall down to your death. So it's a leap of faith. You have to have faith that you can do this. So, if we fail, we're not going to die. So it's not as serious a thing. A leap of faith is what Kant was thinking about. To have faith in God. It's not such a heavy leap of faith. You just put it to the test and you get the result. You can experience it. I mean, if it happened to me, why not to someone else? And to so many other people in our movement. So it works. That's the thing. And then you have Shraddha, confidence. Okay? You always ask questions. Not today. She's convinced. No doubts. All right, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.